Welcome to Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. And now, Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. We're going to have our guest today. Again, we're very pleased to have him, Dr. Patrick Nuzzo, who is the founder of Southwest University of Naturopathic Medicine. We're so fortunate to have that here in New Mexico. Now, he's been on the program in the past, telling us some great tips. We started, all of us, with day one of starting to drink a lot of water, getting our exercise, and not turning to over-the-counter or prescription pain meds. We're trying to get off of those. They're not good for our health, not good for the root cause of our pain. On the show today, we're going to talk about now cannabis. Some people call it marijuana. That has been now legalized recreationally in our state, but for quite a few years now it has been used as a medicine, medical marijuana it's been called. On the show we're going to talk about how Southwest University of Naturopathic Medicine will be training practitioners, physicians, doctors, and such about how to use and how to talk to their patients about the use of medical marijuana and how it could be used to avoid some pain in their lives. And also we're going to talk about a Masters of Science program about anti-inflammation nutrition. What the heck is that? We're going to ask Dr. Patrick Nuzzo right after this. Stay with us.
Hey America, now there's a place where we can join our voice, Real America's Voice. Real America's Voice is coming to a town near you with a grassroots approach, bringing the real voice of America together. Real America's Voice is growing our family of networks across the country, and soon you could be part of that change. Download the Real America's Voice app and join other Americans just like you across the country, coming together for real.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Diane. We've heard about opioids in our culture, in our nation, in our state, and how that pain medication, prescription medication, is killing people because they're not taking it perhaps correctly. It's overdose. We often hear sometimes of an overdose. Well, it's probably most likely accidental. They didn't want to kill themselves with this drug, but it has been killing people. We've heard now that in New Mexico we have medical marijuana, and a lot of people have been taking that. And on our show we're going to talk to Dr. Patrick Nuzzo, who is the founder of Southwest University of Naturopathic Medicine, on how his university is going to hopefully start training practitioners on how they should talk to their patients about medical marijuana and its uses and how it can affect their lives and perhaps improve their lives. So this is all new to me, Dr. Patrick Nuzzo, but you're going to educate us on our show about CBD and THC, which are part of the marijuana plant,
right,
the cannabis plant.
The active ingredients.
And how people in New Mexico are being treated by these two substances, and what your patients have been telling you about them, and what you're telling your patients, and what you're going to be talking to doctors about telling their patients about the use of medical marijuana.
You know, there's such a long history on medical marijuana. I mean, even in this state, we've had medical marijuana, it's got to be a decade already. I don't really remember what year Richardson signed it into law, so it's quite a while ago that we've got medical marijuana legalized in the state. And, you know, people are taking it. Last I heard, there was almost 70,000 medical marijuana licenses issued in the state of New Mexico.
Those are the people providing?
No. Those are the people who licenses to go and buy medical marijuana. Now it's recreational, so you know anybody could buy it. But there's still 70,000 licenses because those people are taking marijuana as their medicine. Right? They're taking and using medical marijuana to treat anxiety, sleeplessness, pain, inflammation. You know, I can't remember the exact amount of disorders that it's approved for, but if you go and get a medical marijuana prescription, or not a prescription, a license to buy medical marijuana, you have to be able to prove that you have PTSD or anxiety or, you know, digestive problems. So or pain. There's 9 or 11. I can't remember how many there are approved now. But what we do is, in my practice, we see hundreds of patients a week.
And your practice is naturopathy, which is manual
medicine. We're naturopathic medicine in New Mexico. We have offices in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Los Alamos. We also run the school up there in Santa Fe. And, patients are always coming in and asking, how do I use this? Why should I use this? What should I use this for? I'm taking this medication. Could I replace it with this, right? There's a huge need out there.
Now they're asking you, but you're a manual.
They are, but we're also we're manual, but we're also metabolic. We talk about food as much as we talk about hands-on manual medicine, right? We recommend diet, nutrition, supplementation, and part of that supplementation now in New Mexico is medical marijuana. So, not everybody's up to speed on it, but that's our idea now. There's so many people are going to their doctor's offices wanting to know, how should I take this? Why should I take this? Or they're going and they're getting their information from their bud tenders, in the dispensaries, right? So what we are developing is a cannabis educational program, a cannabis pharmacopoeia, that will educate practitioners how to recommend and use cannabis products in their practice and with their patients, right? So we're trying to educate the population on this medicine. And we're in the stages of developing a training program for these dispensaries, not only here in New Mexico, but dispensaries that everywhere, so people know the basics of cannabis plants. They know that there's indica, there's sativa, there's CBD, there's THC. They should know how to talk about these plants and how to talk to the patients that are walking in their clinics about these plants, right?
Now, if you know this, if a person goes to a medical marijuana dispensary, I am with their license, and I believe they still buy it, or it's tax-free, or it's less expensive than going to, I think, recreationally.
It's tax-free, and there's different dosages in the medical marijuana products than there is in the recreational products.
So at these dispensaries where medical marijuana is dispensed, do those people know about it?
There's usually quite often people behind the counter that know what they're talking about, right? There's no question. They make recommendations, some more than others, right? There's somebody who knows a lot more than other people, but people really need to get this information from their healthcare practitioners as well, right? They should be able to go, not have the stigma of having to walk in a dispensary or go get a license, to talk to somebody in private about, this is my need. Should I even go here? Is it something I should do? I mean, you want, and that's one of the reasons we'd like to certify or do education in the dispensaries as well. So people give information that's reliable, that's got some scientific validity behind it, right?
Well,
so you standardize the education is basically what we're trying to do.
And at this point, if a person gets a license to get medical marijuana, they have to go to their primary care physician to say, I have this ailment, and they write like a prescription?
There's a diagnosis that they give, and then it is a prescription for a medical marijuana license. Yeah.
Right, but do they know how much to take for their ailment?
See, that's just it,
Does the primary care know?
Some, most don't. Most don't, right? Now, the ones who specialize, there's a lot of doctors out there you can go and get your licenses from. They know what they're talking about, right? But I'm talking about, your average medical doctor who sees, 30, 40 people a day, right? Who are on anti-anxiety medications, on sleeping medications, who are on, pain medications. There's a natural substance out there that can be used to help replace the pharmaceutical, especially these opioids. I mean, these opioids are just highly, highly addictive. And when people, these young kids get these opioids, or older people get these opioids, and then the prescription runs out and they're hooked on opioids, guess what? They go to the black market. They go start buying heroin, and it's an opioid. It's cheaper. It's and these are how these overdoses are happening. These products are laced with, fentanyl and just really, awful pharmaceutical ingredients that are taking people's lives. So, we have a medicine out there that's legalized, that's available, that people need to know how to use it. And it would make sense that we would train our practitioners how to use it and how to recommend it. So that's where we're going to go with this course.
What's interesting is that you have patients in your manual therapy almost daily who are asking the same questions.
Sure.
They don't know where to get the information.
Sure. Again, you got to get online, research. There's all kinds of ways to find out. But there's practitioners, I think have a responsibility. If you're working in a state, if you're practicing in a state that offers medical marijuana and you're a practitioner, I think there's a responsibility to kind of understand what it is your patients are asking about and what are they taking and how should they take it, and
I have a personal experience of someone who is in pain and been in pain a long time. And I just suggested, why not try? I mean, it's out there, medical marijuana. And they didn't know, well, I don't know about it.
What should I do? How should I take it? Which kind should I take? Should I smoke it? Should I eat it? Should I take a liquid? All those are great questions, and they're all made for different reasons for people. Some people, don't want to smoke. It's not a good thing to, light something up and have that heat come into your lungs, There's edibles that you can eat. There's, tinctures that you could take.
Salves
that you could wipe on or rub on. There's all different ways to use this medicine. And there's still a stigma around it, and,
Yes, and this person feels a stigma.
Right, they do, especially if they haven't done it, too. It's the first time I'm going to do this. What should I do? Am I doing something wrong? Am I going to get in trouble? Am I going to get paranoid, right? They got to be able to talk to somebody. If you go into a dispensary, their objective is to sell you something, right? You're walking in there, they're going to sell it. You go to a doctor's office, you can ask questions. Should I do this? What would it do? What are the side effects? How can I maybe wean off of my anti-anxiety medication to start taking this? How can I wean off my pain medication to start taking this? Medical doctors, practitioners, health practitioners, again, especially in a state where it's offered, I believe have a responsibility to be able to answer those questions, or at least have somebody in your office or refer them to somebody who can do that,
And you're expecting to offer a course.
Classes, yes.
Classes.
That'll turn into certificates, for credits or continuing education. I'm in the process of writing and getting these approved. It's a long process, but that's our goal. I think by 2025 we'll probably have this ready to go.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, it's important.
Right. Within the plant, and you're feeling about, as a manual therapist, doctor, and there is the stigma for some regarding medical marijuana. It's comprised of, you said, all these different things. The plant, it's a natural plant. It has the CDB and then the THC in the plant. And the CDB is the medical part?
CBD. No, it's THC is the part that gets people high, right? Okay. The THC content will get people that euphoric feeling. CBD is the anti-inflammatory. It has lots of properties to it. So they extract CBD out of the plant, so you use it for those specific purposes. There's medicines for seizures, for trembles, for pain, for inflammation. CBD is a pretty potent medicine, and they make it standardize and make it like a pharmaceutical medication, and will make recommendations how to use it, when to use it. It is a medicine. So more and more and more marijuana studies are happening, and more plants are being able to be used for human ailments, and it's part of what people should know. Doctors should have it in their arsenal. It's legal.
And is it still, though, masking the original problem?
Well,
It's a masker.
That's a great question. It is. But you see, it's not. It is a food source, right? The CBD is a natural food source. It's not a synthetic. It's not something that you take and synthesize and make it. That's what a drug will do. Okay, they'll take an active component. Like they'll take an active component like CBD, and then they'll chemically reproduce that to make a pharmaceutical out of it. The CBD is a natural source with all its components, with all its enzymes there, with all its coenzymes there, so it can break down in the body and utilize. It's a food source. It's feeding the body and the body's receptors to help with inflammation, to help with pain, to help with neurotremors, right? So it comes from a food standpoint versus a masking medical standpoint.
But still, if you have inflammation and you're feeding it with the CBD,
right?
You're still, the original inflammation was caused by something else.
The original inflammation is caused, by, repetitive motion, sleeping positions, sitting positions, old injuries, lack of circulation, right? So you could take pain medication for that. Right? Or you can go the more natural route and take the food sources for it and get your body stretched and get your body circulating and get your body hydrating. It's not just taking one component, right? It's about adopting a lifestyle.
Talk about the sleeping position, because practically every night I think about you, Dr. Patrick Nuzzo. I don't know if that's good or bad. Right when I'm going to bed, it's the sleeping. I mean, why do we want to sleep on one side and I'm sleeping on the bad side, my hurting side, and I think of you, I'm not supposed to sleep, but why does our body want to sleep on one way and not the other?
It's just we're such creatures of habit, it's comfort. It's just like you want to break something, you want to break an addiction to food or to sodas, you want to break an addiction to sleeping. This is how I sleep. This is the only way I could sleep. I mean, in your mind you've got that. I got to go to sleep. Well, you got to break it, because I know your history. I know you've got shoulder issues, and that's the one thing you shouldn't be doing, is straining that arm all night while you're sleeping, because you're diminishing circulation and overstretching it. And
so is an addiction to sleeping pattern too?
Yeah, I believe so. It's the pattern.
I just think I can't sleep this way.
Right.
But you sleep.
Well, I try to always fall asleep on my back, pillow under my knees, pillow under my neck. I always wake up on my side, but I get myself relaxed. But when I sleep on my side, I sleep with a pillow between my knees, I sleep with a pillow under my arm. I try to support myself so, I'm not straining my body. I don't sleep on my stomach. Okay, I used to sleep on my stomach, but that's when I had all my shoulder problems. Once I start sleeping on my stomach, shoulder problems are gone. You just
on your back.
Once I stop, because I sleep on my back and my sides. That's how I sleep.
Oh, a pillow under the knees. What do you support?
Just so my low back is flat, and it's comfortable.
And under your...
Well, if I'm sleeping on the side, I always put a pillow so I'm not bone on bone and not crunching myself and cutting circulation. I'm giving myself a little bit of a cushion. And that helps. That helps me a lot.
But maybe it's good to toss and turn to get the blood flowing.
I think it's what happens. As long as you can fall back to sleep.
But it's even that 7 hours or 8 hours, 6 hours or 5 hours of just stopping the circulation is not good.
6 minutes. Stop, I mean, it's not good to stop the circulation. It's just not. I mean, especially if you have an injury or if you have inflammation there. Right?
You're also going to begin a program, a Master's of Science in Anti-Inflammatory Nutrition.
Right.
So I have heard, or I've been told, but forget as I age, that some of the foods, maybe the dairy, causes inflammation.
Well, yes.
So I imagine your course will be teaching practitioners about how to avoid foods.
What foods will cause inflammation? What foods don't cause inflammation? What foods decrease inflammation? What foods increase inflammation?
Tell us some of them.
Well, the most toxic substance that we ingest on a daily basis and creates the most inflammation is sugar.
Okay, let's repeat that. God, when you said the most toxic,
Well, it's, you know.
And I'm thinking, oh, did I have it today?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you know, what is he going to say?
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us again, the most toxic.
Well, it's not, you know, it's not a food that sustains health. You know, it's just not. And it's in everything. And it creates inflammation, and it feeds inflammation. You know, the sugar feeds it. You know, when you want to start something up, you want to start wine, what do you start it up by pouring sugar in it. You get it bubbling, right? So it creates the inflammatory process, and the more you eat, the more inflammation it creates. So, you know, alkalizing foods, you know, bone broth is one of the best foods if you want to start getting your health back in line. You know, drinking, you know, organic bone broth, you know, on a regular basis just really soothes the stomach, soothes the digestive system, builds flora, gets a, you know, a balanced pH in the body, you know, takes acidity down, you know, and you're
organic
building
bone broth.
So, you know, you could go and buy it. I mean, all the stores carry it. Even the Albertsons, they have their own brand now, organic bone broth. But, you know, it's better to make it. You know, what I do is, I'm going to give a plug to Whole Foods here. They have those organic rotisserie chickens at Whole Foods. They're $13. I mean, you can't buy a raw chicken and cook it for $13, organic chicken. So I always every week I buy an organic chicken. I eat off of it all week, right? And at the end of the week, I make my bone broth out of that carcass. I'll take 4 quarts of water, I put it in my crock pot, and I, you know, put a little apple cider vinegar in there to leach the minerals out of the bone, and I cook that bone broth in the crock pot for 6 hours. I take the bones out and strain it all. I give whatever meat's left to my dogs, and I jar up that bone broth, and I drink it for breakfast. You know, that's my, or if I have, I do. I mean, it's.
I should laugh. Well, you were laughing at me, but I'm kind of like, this just sounds.
Yeah, no, I do, and it's soothing, and it's healthy, and it builds, you know, collagen, and it repairs tissue, and, you know, look up bone broth. I mean, go on.
I've had a actually chiropractic friend tell me regarding chicken, since we're talking about chicken, he eats the, you know, the bone, the
tendons, the cartilage, the
cartilage.
Connective tissue.
Yes.
Because it's food, and he's feeding his connective tissue, right? I mean, food is medicine.
But eating that chicken at the end of the bone, the cartilage in there, he said would help.
It's feeding your connective tissue. It's the nutrients that the connective tissue is built on, and it feeds it those nutrients, the minerals, the substances. So, you know, I mean, it's like eating. You got to eat foods that are, you know, grown in restored regenerative soils, that are grown organically, so you get nutrients out of them, you know. And
anything else?
Cannabis is plant-based medicine, right? And also, if you're going to go to the plant-based medicines, find the manufacturers and find the growers that are growing their foods in organic soils, because there's non-organic cannabis, there's organic cannabis, right? You gotta be the inspector out there, you know, just trying to find out. You want to source the best food you could possibly take in.
Which is a little more expensive than other foods.
It is. Pay for your food or pay for your medicine.
Or pay for your pain.
Well, I mean, you know, prescription medication is pretty expensive. You know, living a lifestyle where you're sick is pretty expensive. You know, there's a lot of care that goes into being sick. You know, and you have it in your ability to take care of yourself if you make a decision to do so. You know.
In any of these courses, when you're teaching physicians how to talk to their patients, what advice can you give so a person, they voice it? Yes, I'm going to make a change, but it's difficult. What can you share with us now?
It's a day-by-day process. If you fall off the wagon, get back on it the next day. You know, make a choice. Every time you eat something, make a choice. Is this good for me? Is this going to make me healthy? You know, or is it, you know, or am I taking a day off today and I don't care? I mean, you could do that too. It's not what you do, you know, 20% of the time, it's what you do 80% of the time, right? So you got to eat a really, really good, healthy lifestyle, people are going to fall off the wagon.
But that's a question. But you're saying that is a question you can say, is this good for me?
Yeah.
That's just a simple question we can ask
How good is
ourselves.
this food for me? Is this going to build my health, or is this going to break my health down?
Any other tips that we can do?
Drink water.
Right.
Make sure you hydrate. It's so, so, so important. Just hydrate the tissues, because we've got to get the body moving, the body lubricated, and we live in a pretty dry climate here, especially with this heat right now, so people are struggling.
If you know this regarding the cannabis stores, why are they called dispensaries?
They dispense the product, I'm not sure. I mean,
Okay.
I don't like that name, but that's what it is.
I just wonder.
That's what it is. It's. I think dispensaries even go back to the pharmacy days. They would
Right.
dispense.
That's kind of-
So I think they were trying to get the medical
Part of it.
lingo in there, maybe. Yeah.
Well, Happy New Year to you, your family, your loved ones, and the holidays, as I always say, are here. They're always
amazing,
a holiday,
right?
so it's a busy time.
Yeah.
But thank you and good luck with your cannabis
Programs.
program, pharmacopoeia, and your Masters of Science in anti-inflammation nutrition. And thanks for the tips that you've given us.
Yeah.
We should be making our choices and saying, you know what, let's sleep right and let's get up and eat right.
I like that. Thanks, Diane. It's
Thank
always
you,
a pleasure being with you.
Patrick Nuzzo, for all you've done for me, my family, my loved ones, and for our viewers here on Issues and Answers. So thanks to Dr. Patrick Nuzzo with Southwest University of Naturopathic Medicine. Thanks for watching the program. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great, healthy week with your family. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
The New Mexico Modern Child Support Family Program works to benefit both parents for the purpose of improving children's lives. It provides the basics of child support, but goes further by helping parents step up to find better job opportunities that get them back on track to paying their monthly child support obligation. Find out how the Child Support Step Up program can help your modern family. Contact New Mexico Child Support today to learn more.
Issues and Answers with your host Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program or to purchase a copy of any Issues and Answers program, visit sunbroadcasting.org or call us at 505-345-1991.